Hi, my name's Phil Gardner and welcome to Fun with Boxes, where today I'm taking a look at a very small solo game. In fact, it only comes with one card. One card! Yes, and I guess I should have realised that because the clue is in the title. One Card Dungeon from Alley Cat Games, a solo game that can last you anywhere between 15 minutes and an hour. And yes, it does feature one card. However, on this one card, you will be battling through 12 dungeon levels. What an incredible concept. What a clever game design this is. So, One Card Dungeon is a solo dice placement dungeon crawler played on a single card. Fight through 12 increasingly challenging levels to reach the final prize, the Sceptre of M'Guf-yn. Well, let's take a look at what you get in this tiny box, and let's have a look at that one card, shall we, and see what all the fuss is about. Well, join me as I take a look at how to set the game up and also how the game plays. Okay, let's take a quick look at One Card Dungeon. Well, we have a little rule booklet telling us all about the setup and the adventure phase, the monster movement phase and the monster attack phase, ending a level and winning the game, and some game variants as well. So, looks interesting. Some lots of different coloured dice. Got a little pack of cards here, Barbarian, Wizard, and of course we have our one card dungeon. And we have, I'm not sure whether this is like a player score sheet or whatever to track your way through the different levels. So that's what we get, but how do we play it? Well, that's a good question. Shall we find out? Okay, for our first games, we are not going to use these adventurer cards, class cards. So we pop these back into the box. And so we've got all our dice, we've got our handy little game save pad. So let's set this up. So the first thing we need to do is to place the one card dungeon out, and we're going to place this so that we have level 1 in the bottom left hand corner here. And then we're going to take the 4 ability dice, which are the 4 white dice, and we're going to set 3 of them to 1. And 1 of them to 2, and we're going to place these underneath the card into these positions. And what this is indicating here is that we've got a speed now of 1, an attack of 1, a shield of 1, and a range of 2. And you can see we're going to be fighting these spiders here, and they've got a movement of 5, an attack of 4, a shield of 4, and a range of 3 and health of 2. Now next we will take the green die, and this is going to be our adventurer's health, and we set that to 6 and pop that onto the steps here. And now the red dice, these represent the monsters, and we are going to put these onto the level 1 indicators here. They've got a health of 2, so we'll set the red dice to 2 and pop these onto here. And then we are ready to begin our descent into the dungeon. So the gameplay. So you loop through the following phases, and the level will end when either you kill all the monsters or you run out of health and lose. And the phases are the energy phase, the adventurer phase, the monster movement phase, and finally the monster attack phase. So let's take a look at the energy phase first. And quite simply what we're going to do is we're going to take our 3 energy dice, which are the black dice, and what you're going to do is you're going to roll them all together and then place them under You move, attack and shield in any order you wish. You don't add them to your range. Your range is 2. So I'll pop these like so. So now I've got a move of 5, an attack of 2, a defense or shield of 4, and a range of 2. And now we move on to the adventurer phase. And in the adventurer phase, we're going to spend now our total speed and attack points for the turn to move around and damage monsters. And you can make multiple moves and attacks during the phase in any order you want, as long as you've got enough points to spend. Now let's take a look at movement. If you move one tile orthogonally, so if I move from there to there or there to there, that will cost me 2 speed points. Now if I was to move diagonally one tile, for example move into here, that would cost me 3 points. So it's 2 points to move orthogonally and 3 points to move diagonally. Now the only restrictions here are you may not move onto the same tile as a monster or into a wall, and you do not have to spend all your speed points, but you may never spend more than your total for the turn. So for example, on my adventure phase, perhaps I will move from here for 2 and there for 3 for a total of 5. Now my range is only 2 and I can only attack monsters that are orthogonally adjacent to me. So I can't do anything with my attack, but I do have a defense or shield of 4 remaining. If we come back to the attacks part of the adventurer phase, let's first take a look at the monster movement phase. So each monster is going to move to be as close as possible to being at maximum range to your adventurer. And you work through each monster in turn, starting with the closest. And you find the empty tile at the monster's maximum range for you, with line of sight that is closest to the monster, and you move the monster as fast as possible towards that tile. And if there's no empty tile at maximum range, they will move towards a closer in-range tile, or if that's not possible, just move to be as close as possible to the adventurer. And monsters will prioritize being in range and line of sight over being at maximum range. And monsters move very much like your adventurer. They move orthogonally for 2 points and diagonally for 3. And monsters may not move through the adventurer or walls, but may move through but not end their movement on other monsters. And if there's a choice of multiple movement paths that are equally good, you may choose which each monster takes. And once all monsters are moved, then that phase ends. So for example here, these monsters have got a range of 3 and a movement of 5. So this monster here only needs to get to there to be in range 3. And they're only spending 2 of their 5 points. Whereas this monster will spend 3 to move diagonally. Now they are out of range because I'm at range 4, and they've got range 3. So they've got 2 movement points left out of their 5, and they will move next to me to there. And now let's have a look at the monster attack phase. So you add up the total attack of all monsters within their range and line of sight to the adventurer. And monsters out of range or line of sight do not attack this turn. And you inflict a number of points of damage to the adventurer equal to the monster's total attack, divided by the adventurer's total defense points, rounded down. And if the total attack is less than your adventurer's total defense points, then no damage is inflicted. So in this example, we've got an attack of 4 and 4, so that's 8. And I've got a shield of 4, so that's 8 divided by 4, which is 2. So I would take 2 points of damage and reduce from 6 down to 4 health. And then once all the monsters have attacked, if we've survived, which we have in this case, then we begin a new turn starting with the energy phase. So one of the things you can do on the adventurer phase is you can attack. And when you attack a monster, your adventurer must be within range and line of sight of its target. And you may spend a number of attack points equal to the monster's defense skill to reduce its health by 1. And you track each monster's health by using the value of its die. If a monster's health is reduced to 0, you remove its die. And you do not have to spend all your attack points, but you may never spend more than your total for the turn. So, you may spend a number of attack points equal to the monster's defense skill. So in this example here, I've only got an attack of 2 and the monster's defense is 4. So that's not good enough to be able to attack that monster. However, if perhaps I'd set myself up with my dice like these, now I've got an attack of 4, so I'm in range. I've got a range of 2, so I am in range. And I've got 4 points to attack this monster who's got a defense of 4. So my attack is equal to the monster's defense skill. So I get to reduce this monster down by 1 point. If I had more attack points remaining, then I could, if I had enough, attack that monster again. Now range to a target is calculated in the exact same way as movement. Therefore a monster orthogonally adjacent to you is at range 2. And one that is diagonally adjacent is in range 3. And you calculate the shortest number of movement points that you would need to spend to reach the monster's tile. And that's the range. Attacks may not be performed on a monster further away than your range, and your adventurer begins the game with a range of 2, so may only attack orthogonally. It's only if you upgrade your adventurer will you be able to attack orthogonally and diagonally. And with regards to the line of sight there, a line of sight can be drawn from any corner of your tile to any corner of a monster's tile without passing through a wall tile or another monster's tile. And then you have line of sight. So let's look at the end of level. Now once your adventurer has killed all the monsters in the level, they may take a moment to rest and recuperate before descending to the next dungeon level. After each dungeon level, you must choose to either increase one of your skills, your movement, attack, defense or range by 1, or to heal your adventurer back up to full health. That's a health of 6. And you may either heal or upgrade after each dungeon level, but obviously you cannot do both. And then you set up the next dungeon level, just like we did for the first level. You flip the card to the next dungeon level indicator. For example, that'll be level 2 now. At the bottom left hand, place in your adventurer and the correct monster dice for that dungeon level as marked on the card, and begin a new turn with the energy phase. Now then, winning a game. If you successfully kill all 3 monsters on the 12th dungeon level, you've won the game and found your ultimate prize, the Sceptre of M'Guf-yn. Now, there are some game variants with the game. Once you're comfortable with the game mechanics, you can try and explore the dungeon with one of 4 different characters, either a paladin, a barbarian, a ranger, or a wizard. And during the game setup, before you jump into the dungeon, you choose one of those classes, and each one of these will give you unique abilities that you're able to use throughout the game. For instance, the paladin, once per dungeon level, you may leave 1 energy dice in place from your last turn. The barbarian, once per turn, you may choose to re-roll all dice when at 1 health. And the ranger, once per dungeon level, you may assign a die to range instead of movement. And finally, the wizard, once per dungeon level, you may re-roll all energy dice. Now the save pad there is for you to record your progress. So at the beginning of each new level, you can write your current health point, speed, attack, defense, and range. And that means then you can take a break, and then when you want to, you can continue where you left off. And that's it. that's how you play one card dungeon. Well, there you have it, one card dungeon. Wow, what a lovely concept. I think they've done a tremendous job here with just one card, but you've got 12 levels of dungeon to explore and fight those pesky monsters. Wow, this is quite a challenging solo game, I have found anyway, at least with the couple of levels that I played. I haven't gone through all 12 levels. Oh my goodness, I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge, which makes this game really, really good, because you will want to play it again and again. And the great thing about it is you don't have to play through all 12 levels in one go. There is a save pad sheet there for you to complete, so you can play any number of levels you feel comfortable with and then record your progress, and then you can put it away and pick it back up later on and continue exactly where you left off. So this one is a cracking little game. So if you're after a solo game with very, very small table space, then look no further than this one. And it's also got some extra variants in there where you can play as a certain class of character, be that a wizard or barbarian, for example, and it's 4 different classes included as well. A lovely little solo game here from Alley Cat Games, one to definitely keep an eye out for. Well, I do hope you enjoyed taking a look at this game with me. If you did, please consider hitting the old like button, and also please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because that would really help to grow the channel. And in the meantime, as always, thanks so much for watching. Please do take care, and bye for now.